Okay. And here we go. It's the Mike Tech Show, show number 844. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the podcast. I'm your host, Mike Smith. Thank you very much for downloading and subscribing to the show. Please visit the main website at miketechshow.com. You can email me questions and suggestions for show topics at miketechshow@gmail.com. Please don't forget to visit my YouTube page, youtube.com/MichaelSmithMTS. There you'll find all of the recorded videos for every show. And please don't forget to click subscribe. I really appreciate it. This show is brought to you by Instant House Call. Remotely support your customers if you are an IT pro or an MSP. Instant House Call provides that unattended and on-demand access that you need to support your clients. And you can try it free for 15 days by just going to instanthousecall.com or just clicking on the Instant House Call banner on the left-hand side of the main website. Don't forget to use the promo code Mike Tech Show, and you'll have those 15 days to kick the tires, play with it, and give it a try. You will love it. This show is brought to you by MagnusBox. This is your one-stop shop for all of your online backups that you need for your clients. You can demo with all the features that paying partners have and try them out by just going to magnusbox.com. You can back up every version of Windows. You can Linux, Mac, Synology. And one of the things I'm starting to get more inquiries about is backing up Office 365, which they also do. And I'm going to start diving deep into that more and more. And don't forget, if you tell MagnusBox that you heard it here on the Mike Tech Show, you get free white labeling and your first 3 months half off the platform fee. Give it a try. Go to magnusbox.com. All right. Incredibly busy this week. As a matter of fact, it's interesting. It was a federal holiday on Monday. That was Columbus Day. So you would think, okay, yeah, I got some clients closed, a lot of clients open. It was busier on that Monday than I have ever been. It was like crazy busy, and I'm going to integrate some of the stories. As a matter of fact, I thought it was going to be slower, so we scheduled my oldest son to do a NAS transfer from a Buffalo NAS that's older to a new Synology. We're going to talk about that and then what we did. Then I have some VPN stories and fixes and some issues. How to move a Microsoft account to a local account. And then what sucked the life out of me for time for a client and trying to get information on how to set up some software. I'm going to talk about that and the lessons from that. So now, first, I need to give a big thank you to everyone who reached out to me during the hurricane, sending your prayers to my wife, my family. I really appreciate that. And from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much. And I am so blessed that nothing happened to my house here. And I am so glad. And of course, extremely grateful to Marvin B. and his wife, Kim. Thank you for taking me in as I evacuated. So I just needed to, even though I said that before, it's very important, and it really means a lot to me. Thank you. I am still in the process of working with my CPA. Remember, if you filed for an extension, I'm not sure. Now, it's due Saturday, but I think you got till Monday because when it falls on a Saturday, the 15th of October. Anyway, I paid all of my estimated taxes, obviously, before April 15th last year, but now it's the finals due, and I'm very bad at that, but so that's going to probably suck the life out of me tomorrow as we're going back and forth with numbers and things. Now, last week I talked about the air conditioner in my office, which is a secondary air conditioner to the house. Now remember, we have a fabulous air conditioner, central air throughout the entire place. But my office gets a little warmer because of all the equipment and everything. And when I'm doing the show, I have to have a fan that blows on me just to help cool me down. I am cold right now, and I am dressed. I have a Phillies t-shirt, a hat on because of my Phillies, which I'll mention in a minute. But I also have a jersey on, and it's cold in here, and you can't even hear it. The split mini is working phenomenally well, except on Saturday. Now, remember, it was just installed Thursday, and all of a sudden, I see leaking. I see water coming down the blinds. I'm like, no. The condensation isn't being routed out the hose properly, the tubes that's, for that. I shut off the air, notify my handyman electrician, who notified the AC company that he subcontracted to put it in. They came out Monday. They came out late morning and took an hour and fixed it up. I've been running it all the time since then. Knock wood. It's been running great. So, all right. Let's get to business now, after we took care of all that. Now, wait. The Phillies, and I'm all dressed in my Phillies garb because Game 3 is Friday afternoon tomorrow against the Braves. They split down in Atlanta, and we're hoping that the two home games in Philly, that we don't want them to split. We need them to win both, because I do not want to see this go to a Game 5. So we need to take that and then move on to the next series, which would be either the Dodgers or San Diego, and then on to the World Series after that if they get lucky enough. So we scheduled from a few weeks ago a new client months and months ago that we were referred, a small CPA firm that lives off their Buffalo NAS. And they've often had some issues, but they've been very lucky. Well, they don't consume a lot of space, but they were out of space on the Buffalo NAS. And it was very strange. They would have all these odd things and have to constantly reboot. It is backed up. They use iDrive to back it up. And I'm going to try now to get them onto the Magnus box with the Synology. So we're already talking about that. I have the local backup going, but we had to transfer it. We had to pick a day to get that transferred. Well, the first thing I had my son do when he was on site was brought the Synology. I had already pre-configured it just to set it up, give it a name, set the accounts up remotely while it was connected in our office in PA. He's now on site. We have both NASs up, and I get connected, instant house call in on a workstation, and I download SyncBackFree. That is a great program for something like this, where you want to back up everything from one system to another. This is unlike Fabs. You wouldn't use Fabs for this because that's settings very specific for a computer. But this is a backup synchronization program. I have the pro version that you've heard me often talk about, which I love. But the free version comes in handy as long as you're not on a real server. The free version will not work on a true server operating system. So I get that working. I map 2 drives. I map one to the share with all of the directories that they have on the Buffalo NAS. I then do the same mapping to the new Synology, and I kick it off. And boy, it looks like it's going to take, it reports a couple days. But we know that's not true. There's not that much data. And I mean, I would say under 300 gig. I mean, come on. So it keeps going. Now, after about an hour or two, it is stuck on one QuickBooks file. I mean, it's taken forever. And I talked to my son. I said, look, we got to kill this thing. And we kill it. And I go to that directory. Guess what? There's one QuickBooks file that reports that it's 7.7 terabytes. One file. And the owner's there looking at the file, says, "That's no way. It's not that big of a file." And she said, "Don't worry about that file because she has it on another drive somewhere else that she had copied it, and it is the correct size. We looked at that, and it works." So that's what was killing everything, and it was misreporting it. So I don't know if anybody's ever had that. It was kind of strange. So after I got rid of that file, then instead of starting SyncBack again, SyncBack already had done like 3/4 of all the directories. I just went tick and tack and checked the file count and size from each NAS side by side. And everything was great. There was still 3 or 4 more directories that weren't that big that needed to be done. I actually just right-click copied, right-click pasted, and then finished it off. When we were done, it was only 256 gig, and that reported correctly. Even after deleting that 7.7 terabyte, every time I right-clicked on a directory, it would give me the size, but not the size that's on the disk was always significantly larger than what the size of the actual count and size of the files. I don't know. When you go to properties, you right-click properties on any directory and you get what's being used, but then what the actual disk space is, it was very disproportionate. Yet when I did it on the Synology, it matched perfectly as we went down. We made sure everything was there and just then remapped the drives for the systems. We're only talking like 4 computers in this small office, and made sure everything was wonderful. I tested the backup to the local USB 3 drive that we connected, and everything was fine. That was a few hours. That was all of the morning. Let's see, started at 9, got out of there 4 hours later. So it was like 1 o'clock. So that was Columbus Day. And then I just took calls. Even during the transfer, just all these little problems. And here's something that was really bothering me that has been happening, a big uptick of this happening. Notification pop-ups of McAfee, that McAfee's not even running. That is the infection telling you that McAfee has found a problem. And what's interesting, my clients, most of them know enough that they're running Malwarebytes, and they call me and say, "Why is McAfee telling me that there's a problem?" I said, "No, that is the problem, and you have to go through and stop the pop-ups." And one of the biggest things is to get into notifications on Windows and start turning off the notifications, because all that does is just crushes my clients. So you want to stop the pop-ups. I always run Adware Cleaner, and then I always do CCleaner at Portable after whenever I'm done, just to clean out the cache and everything. But stopping the notifications, going into Edge and any of the browsers, and making sure that you have pop-ups to stop. But I've seen huge uptick of that. Another uptick I'm seeing is the announcement where the computer starts talking to you. You go to the website, they hijack your browser, and it starts talking to you. Your computer is infected. Please dial 1-800, and there's an 800 number to dial. And I got 2 of those calls this week. And luckily, they haven't blocked the ability for me to remote in. I was still able to connect via instant house call. And once I do that, I send a remote control delete so I can launch Task Manager. I still have the ability to do that, and then I kill the browsers. And once I do that, then I can start cleaning. But that will kill that pop-up. And it's amazing that it was kind of quiet there for a little bit, and now just big uptick on these pop-ups and trying to take over. So let's see, another issue, and this was also on Monday. I don't know, now some of the days of the week, it's Thursday only, and they're starting to blend into each other. Client, and for the life of me, I have no idea how this happened. They have a Sophos VPN. They connect in, no problem connecting in, but then we use RDP over the encrypted connection to remote to their desktop. It was the wrong IP address, and it's a static IP address for my client. And it's a static IP address that's defaulted in the RDP connect. How can that change? But it did. I remoted into the person's computer that's on site there, and then just confirmed the IP address. Then when I got in, I was like, wait, that's a different IP address. And I'm wondering if the user did a typo or accidentally or thought she might have been typing the right IP address. I don't know. But it was the wrong IP address. Once we put the right one in, bang, that was an easy fix. So now on to what really I spent the most time this week. Having another CPA firm. This one's a little bigger. The main person was let go a couple months ago. But one of the things I have never had to do is set up a new computer. And you're like, what? Even though I've been supporting them for a while, I've never set up a new system from scratch because that person has always done it. Said it was documented, but see, when someone says something is documented and you need to see it, verify it, and make sure. And that's the lesson, because there were some things documented, but not to the detail that's needed for someone that's never done it before. Installing all of these programs and software, what a nightmare. I had to call tech support, convince them, giving them the account information and explaining. Once, after a half hour of waiting on hold, a half hour to convince them that I am the right person to talk to, then getting them to help me with the install of the program. I'm like, okay. I finally, this is funny, yesterday, I get all the software programs installed. I now am told there's a new accountant starting on Monday, and I need to set up her system. So what we're doing is, the system that I was setting up from scratch was completely redone, is going to an existing person who yesterday tested all the software and confirmed that it was working. And I'm like, great. Now, his existing computer, I'm setting up a new profile. A lot easier. So the software's already installed. And I'm like, okay, and I already got this documented now. So now I go through easy, creating the SureWeb email account, creating the network account on the server, creating the new profile, getting all the permissions worked out, the map drives, the software launches, everything's good, life is good, right? No. Because this is a new employee, I have to get the accounts created at all of the software manufacturers. I have to find out how to create a new account. See, it was bad enough just learning how to install the software. Now I got to create a new account. Today, my morning was just on the phone, and it was actually easier than installing the software, I got to admit. And I've already went through and proven who I am, so I'm there listed as, the person for support. So I have to call the 3 companies again, and they walk me through the accounts. Now, one of them was great. It was on the server, the admin program, and I was able to easily do that. No problem. The one tax program was very difficult. There was no admin account, which for the life of us, we couldn't figure out how this person was administrating the users if there was no admin account. But he was able to rebuild the user base with not impacting the users that were there, but it enabled us to get what do you call it? They were able to create a default admin, and then I was able to give it a password, document that, and then the person on the phone was great, very patient. We were on the phone for over an hour where he showed me how to create the account, how to do all the administration. And then there was another account which I was shocked. I actually had the admin login and password, and that was written down. And after going through all the docs, now I am constructing a document for installing everything. Where is it located? Where do you pull it? Whether it's online, whether it's on the server. If it's on the server, what's the exact share? I'm putting that all together, not just for us, but for whoever replaces us. If there's ever somebody that, is going to step into our shoes or do it, I never want to hold a client hostage. They should have complete control of everything. And what I wanted to do is make sure that it's documented. And that's the lesson here, where you hopefully would leave behind on the server in a documentation folder somewheres all the things that you're doing, and you document it and you give it to your client. They're going to appreciate you more. You never ever hold a client hostage. It's why domain names, even if we have to buy a domain name, we use the credit card of the owner to create the account, so they are in control, and they give me the password for me if I ever have to do any work. I should never, ever have that kind of control. And we see this all the time in our industry. And I could do multiple shows on horror stories, which I'm sure you could participate. Hey, maybe that's our Halloween show or something, where it's the past IT horror stories, that you've taken over. So now everything's documented, everything's good going forward, but boy, did it just suck the life out of me this week, spending time like that. And now, here's the question. Is every hour billable? I'm not sure. I've spent so many hours that I may cut my client a break. They are a retainer, client. They're an MSP client of mine, so I don't want to. I want to be fair, So I'll probably let them know, hey, I'm not gonna kill you, for every minute, but I am gonna, I have to be compensated because it was a lot of my time. There is something I had to do for another client remotely this week, and they were married. Their laptop was synchronized to a Microsoft account of a former employee, and they kept getting pop-ups. And so I have a link. As a matter of fact, there's only a couple links tonight. This link is for Windows 11 how to switch a Microsoft account to a local account. And it is very easy. See, I've done that on 10 a lot, but I've never done it on Windows 11. And it's very simple. You just open settings, then go to accounts, then click your info, and then under the account settings section, you click the sign in a local account instead. And there we are. And there is an option to disconnect the account. So I was able to fix up that annoyance and created a local account for the new user on that system, and she was extremely happy. And since that was just so easy, I figured, okay, I will throw that out there and have that as a link. So tonight's simple. The links are for the download of SyncBackFree and the link to how to switch the Microsoft account to the local account. And looking, I still got one final story. The big project for the site-to-site VPN, it's on hold because we don't have all of the static IP addresses for each of the sites. So I can't build those tunnels, which only takes a few seconds. You gotta have each one be able to have the static IP address so I can configure the Untangle appliance. And what Don has to do, who is the IT tech I'm working with, who's in Ohio, he has to now, for this client, get all of the bills for each of the sites for their ISP. Some of them don't even know who their ISP is. So we got to go to the parent site, get all of the bills, and then he's got to contact each one and beg, borrow, steal to get the static IP address so we can match up the proper static IP and then drop in all the devices. So something that everybody assumed was going to be easy, never assume. Never, never, never. You have to make sure you have everything, or we're just going to waste time. And we wasted a little bit of time on Wednesday. That was yesterday. Once we found out that we couldn't connect. There's things that are programmed on the existing Cisco routers, which we don't have access to, that are stopping the ability to put the Untangle up even in DHCP mode, just enough so it can hit the dashboard, so then I can go in and put the static IPs in. So we're coming at this plan B. Only when we have all of the true static IP addresses for each site, I'm going to then remote in to each one, set it up. I'll lose access. That's okay. You can box it up. But now we can swap. So he can schedule to be on site. We got to do the master site first, and then each site thereafter, and quickly get the tunnels, because we got to do this in a day so we don't have a prolonged outage. So all of the the offices can connect in, back to the mothership and be able to communicate. So just wanted to give you an update on that project. Always what you don't expect, or what you run into something, but that's why it requires a lot of planning, and there's some things we should have done up front. We relied on the customer being able to do things, and we can't do that. We have to do it for ourselves. You can't rely and assume that a customer is going to do something that you're going to ask, because if they don't have a clue, it's not going to get done at all. And you can't depend on that. So you have to take charge. And that's what I started doing. And I started pushing them. I said, look, we got to own this. We got to make the phone calls. We got to get this and confirm for ourselves and then go forward. So lots of the stories this week, interesting, where getting the documentation. This is all, I would say, it's not the fun stuff, but it's got to get done. It's how the sausage gets made. You have to document, or maybe before someone's going to get terminated, you know, they let the IT person know, so I can investigate that there's the proper documentation for everything, and then you lower the hammer, So that's the lesson to management. Make sure that there's someone that can step in and do what that person does, or that there's enough documentation left behind that you can do it. Now, you also got someone like myself that minimal information and I still got it done. It's just painful and takes time, as you had to go through that whole, what I went through this whole process. So all the lessons for this week. And that is it. As I see, we're just about 30 minutes. I didn't even know the show was going to go that long even tonight, because what I had for my notes. So that is it. I will speak to everybody next week. Same time, same channel. Everybody stay safe, and bye-bye. All right. Let's